Miles set the good dishes on the table. The white porcelain with the blue detailing glazed over the top, ornate flowers and intricate images of old Chinese villages that nobody in his family had ever been to. Good China, his father called it, passed down from his grandmother only to be used on Sundays and special occasions. And though it was Sunday, today was also a special occasion for Miles because it was the last day of his punishment. My suggestion to you, mijo, is that you make sure you get it all out before his class, Miles' mother said, lifting a window and fanning the smoke from the stove out with a hand towel. Because I swear, if you get suspended again for something like this, it's gonna be you I'm fanning out the window. Miles was suspended for having to pee. Well, for saying he had to pee. After his history teacher, Mr. Chamberlain, said no, Miles begged. And once Mr. Chamberlain said no again, Miles left. So he was actually suspended for leaving class. But here's the thing. Miles didn't really have to pee. And no, he didn't have to do that either. Miles had to rescue someone. At least he thought he did. Truth was, his spider sense had been on the fritz lately. But Miles couldn't risk it. Couldn't ignore what he considered his responsibility. I don't always have time to pee before class, Ma, Miles replied. He rinsed forks and knives in the sink while his mother hung the towel on the oven handle. She grabbed a pair of tongs and lifted chunks of chicken breast from the sizzling grease. Yeah, you used to say that every night, and guess what? You wet the bed more than anybody I've ever seen. The boy could have set a record. Miles's father chimed in from the couch. He was flipping through Friday's Daily Bugle. He only got the Friday edition. His theory was that if he were to actually read it each day, he'd never leave the house. Creatures everywhere were threatening civilization, and those were just the articles about reality TV. Miles, I swear you were the most bedwettingest kid in Brooklyn. Matter of fact, back then I used to get this trash paper every morning just so we could line the top of your mattress with it in the evening. Mr. Davis closed the paper, folded it in half. He shook his head. And then your pissy butt would come waddling into our bedroom in the middle of the night, smelling like 200-year-old lemonade. Talking about, I had an accident. An accident? I'm gonna tell you right now, son, be thankful for your mother, because if it were up to me, you would have been lying in the wet spot until it was a dry spot. Be quiet, Jiff, Miles's mother said, positioning the chicken on a serving plate. Am I lying, Rio? You were always saving him. Because he's my baby, she said, laying a paper towel on the first layer of meat to sop the grease from the glistening skin. But you're not a baby no more. So figure out what you need to do to keep your butt in that seat. Miles had already made up his mind that wouldn't be a problem. He was going to stay in his seat in Mr. Chamberlain's class and ignore his beehive brain whenever the bees up there got to buzzing. His spidey sense had always been his alarm, the thing that let him know when there was danger close or when someone needed help. But since the beginning of this school year, his junior year at Brooklyn Visions Academy, his spidey sense seemed to be broken. Almost like his powers were wearing off. He'd been dashing out of Chamberlain's class over and over again for fake bathroom breaks, bolting down the hallway and out the door, a gust of wind, only to find nothing. No monster, no mutant, no madman. Just Brooklyn being Brooklyn, left with a new, awkward excuse about what took him so long in the bathroom. Perhaps for a kid like him, being a superhero had an expiration date, and it wasn't worth being punished by his folks. It wasn't worth failing a class or being expelled if he couldn't even guarantee he'd still be able to be Spider-Man by graduation.